evening to everybody. My name is Anna Cavallo. I'm from CSI Piemonte. I'm very proud and it's a pleasure for me to be here in this important event for Omar and for all of us. And I have also the honor of to carry on the roundtable concerning the future of open data toward harmonization and consolidation. In this roundtable, we will talk about different tools that can help us in the real consolidation of open data reuse, both for citizens regarding transparency aspect, but especially for business and SMEs. With me, there are several persons that will explain their experience in different projects and will lead us toward the different aspects we will try to share. Let me present. We have Mr. Eric Staromieski. I will call you Eric. Sorry. Mr. Mounet, Mr. Garcia, and Mr. Garriga. We will talk about the opportunity of open data for the business, especially in as open data as a source for a big data project. We will talk about the potential of semantic applied to open government data, both for business and both for public administration itself. We will talk about how harmonize open data formats, just to help business to make business. And finally, we will talk about the new legislative framework. We will talk about the new European Directive on Public Sector Information that is expected to be approved in the next June. So let me introduce you the first speaker, Mr. Mounet. He is a project manager in the public sector unit in Atos Research. And he is the project manager of the BIG consortium, which is a coordination action co-funded by the European Union to discuss opportunity offered by big data technology and its impact of the new economy. So please, Mr. Mounet.
Thank you. So, I will speak about the big data perspective for the future use of open data and from our conclusions so far in big project. So, just an introduction of a big project. The objectives of big project are about what is currently working on. The overall objective is to work at technical, business and policy levels, shaping the future through the positioning of intelligent information management and big data, specifically in Horizon 2020, which is the next framework program for financing research projects in the coming years. So why big at this moment? So this is the strategic importance of big data technology, from the intelligence information management in general to big data in particular. And it is aligned with a new unit of the European Commission called G3, Data Value Chain. So the aim is to push the European big data research and innovative technologies to contribute in increasing the European competitiveness and materializing opportunities in the big data domains. So BIG aims to promote a well-developed EU industrial landscape in big data, so providing a clear picture of existing technology trends and their maturity, acquiring a sharp understanding of how big data can be applied to concrete environments, use cases, and pushing European big data research as well as the innovation to contribute in increasing European competitiveness. So building a self-sustainable industry-led initiative. So about Big Data project, the Big Data is a public-private forum. It's a coordination action co-funded by the European Union under the 7th Framework Program with a duration of 26 months, and which started in September 2012. So the consortium is composed by 11 partners from industry. There are 5 partners, research institutes, and non-profit organizations. So the big work is structured around 5 sectorial forums, grouping the main economic activities, which are health, public sector, health, public sector, finance and insurance, telecom, media and entertainment, manufacturing, retail, energy and transport. And there are other 5 technical working groups, which are focused on the big data value chain, which are data acquisition, analysis, curation, storage, and usage. So the main goal or the main outcome output from the big project is to step a sector roadmap. So to complete the sectorial roadmaps, there is a 3-step approach. So first is the identification of each sector requisites, the applicability of big data technical white papers in each sector, and the elaboration of the sectorial roadmaps. So today we have just finalized the first draft of the sector requisites, which has been completed recently. So about big data and open data, well, we have the classical 3-dimensional approach of big data, which is about the volume of data, the speed of data which is produced and consumed, and the variety, which is the range of data types that provide this big data. But big data is not only about size, it's about data diversity, it's unstructured data, multimedia data, real-time, exhaust data like log files, linked and shared data, and of course open data. So open data is one of the main components of big data in some environments, as it is the case in public sector. So which are the internal opportunities of big data and open data in public sector? So big data and open data offers opportunities for improvements in effectiveness in the public sector, so providing greater internal transparency and increase of productivity with respect to current processes among public bodies. So we have data availability through public bodies, so making data available across agencies. This is a possible approach to overcome the data silos issue and thereby facilitating the access to information. This is something that has been said in the previous roundtable. And also sharing and transparency of information through public sector organizations. For example, avoiding problems from the lack of a single identity database. That's the case, for example, in UK. People doesn't have a unique ID. And also providing solutions to fulfill the once only principle. So therefore, not requesting information from citizens and business that is already available within public administration. It facilitates the profiling of information, for example, on forms for tax declaration and making life easier for taxpayers. And there is also the external opportunities of big data and open data in public sector. Citizens and business can take better decisions and be more effective and even create new products and services thanks to the information provided. We have the open government, which facilitating the free flow of information from public organizations to citizens, and business provides greater trust between citizens and government. And we have the open data reuse. So many European administrations, for example, the Commission itself, are opening up their...
Slowly, please.
Many European Union administrations, for example, the Commission itself.
If you want, you can also speak Spanish.
Excuse me. So the administrations are opening up their data, but making raw government data available to the public. So this raw data can be reused, and innovative processes combined with other multiple data sets from different sources can provide new and innovative services to citizens. In this regard, open data initiatives are the starting point for boosting a data market that can take advantage from open information, content, and big data technologies. So last of all is, which are the current uncertainties and challenges of these technologies? Well, we have the new European directives about data protection and public sector information, which are to be approved in the next 1 to 2 years. And this directive displays some uncertainties about the impact on the implementation of big data and open data initiatives in the public sector. So here there is an opportunity to set open data as a catalyst from the public sector to the private sector and to establish a powerful data industry. And then we have the privacy and security issues. So the ability to cross information with other data sets, which when combined might reveal highly sensitive personal and security information, not only compromising individual privacy, but also civil security. And the last challenge is the big data skills. So today this is not an issue, but in a few years' time, there will be a high demand in big data skills across the government agencies and in the industry in general. And public body agencies could go far distance with the current skills they have, but they have to advance with them. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. As I know, you have, as Eric, you have to leave us
Yes.
quite quick because you have a flight. Perhaps I have a couple of questions, but perhaps I will let first the speak to Eric, and then I will put you some question about your topics, if you agree. And so let me give the floor to Mr. Staromieski. He works as a IT consultant for Everis, and he is involved in several European, Spanish, and international projects on semantic interoperability. And he also works with different communities with respect to standardizations, just like W3C and DCAT and so on. And he will explain us something about semantic applied to open data, just to achieve the linked open data we all want to achieve. And he will also talk about a project called O-Procurement with the uses linked open data. So,
Okay, thank you.
please.
In fact, I won't talk about anything of that. I've changed my mind, and I'm mentioning some aspects you also mentioned, but after having listened to what you all along the day have been talking about, I think it's more interesting that I speak some experiences that have to do with those topics, but from another perspective. And this is that I think that you or all the speeches I've been listening to have been extremely focused at open data as an end, not as a means. And I see it more like an opportunity to do something I call the verticalisation of the open data, which means that from every kind of project, be it about open data or not, and most probably projects that have nothing apparently to do with open data, we should always wear our cap of open data advocates. Because what, from my experience, I'm seeing is that linked open data, and please do not forget the linked, because we have heard about open data many times today, but not so many times the linked part. So it is a very good solution for not only the business, but also the technical approaches. I make myself clear. In the previous roundtable, Benito was talking about, and not only Benito, he started the first one to talk about this vicious circle that is the reluctancy of the administrations to free the data, and the fact that if the open data, if the data is not open, the population, the citizen, is not going to ask for it. So how to break this? And I think that you have forgotten, or they have forgotten, two very important actors that could help to break this circle, this loop, which are the business manager and the project manager, or more probably the system supplier, as we call it in the European Commission. Because what is really happening is that from any project that is approached from a traditional interoperability point of view, these two actors have a lot to say, and they are precisely two of the biggest enemies for open data. The business manager, because he is always sticking to his business, to his legal framework, to his or her business rules, and he is not or she is not going beyond that, because that could pose a problem of overload of work, or she or he could have to face things that he even don't know. Let's start by there. And if she or he knows it, it's viewed more than a problem, like a problem, than a possible solution for its business, for their business. And that's my point, that adopting linked open data approaches may help the business. This is why I'm putting on the table something I call the verticalisation of the linked open data, which is, be careful, because if your business approach is viewed from this new perspective, it's not so new for some of us, then you could discover solutions that will help to put in place your project, your business, and in a very easy and cheaper way, which is the technical part that is not always viewed like this. From the interoperability point of view, and specifically from the semantic point of view, this is very important, because instead of linking systems, if you link data, and more important, data sources, then you discover that the organizational dimension of the interoperability could disappear. And this is important. This is important because it's cheaper, because also makes in my case, the member states, who are the main stakeholders for us in the European projects, make them feel free. And this is important because they view the role of the European Commission, of the general administrations in the case of a state, as someone who needs or wants to control their behavior. And linked open data solutions helps to not being controlled. It's a shift from delivering data through linked systems to discovering data in a free manner based on other new paradigms, which is linked open data. Okay? So this verticalisation helps to break this loop. And not only helps to break the loop, but also is going to solve one other barrier that already has been mentioned in the previous roundtable, which is the cost. If the cost is being paid by the project, by the business, then the administration has not to pay that cost. So the citizen is not charging with this expense, because the business is supplying for this funding, for this budget. I can give you some examples. Think, for instance, of public procurement, which was the subject I brought to this roundtable. Public procurement has really a need for linked open data, but no one is talking about that in public procurement. In fact, in public procurement, we have a lot of public information, public by law, but no open data at all. Which means that the fact that the information is public doesn't mean that it is open, and even less, it's linked. So we have a lot of work to do there. In fact, everything is to be done there, starting by the semantic interoperability and the standards, which is basically what we are fostering right now. how to make possible that the public procurement suddenly, at some point, appears in the web of data, which is not the case right now. Okay? How it has to be done, and who has to pay it. Because to the question that if it has a cost and who has to pay it, my answer in this case would be, but it's already been paid. It's already being paid. Because the business of making those data, putting those data to work is generating money. And this money is paying this investment. So it's not the administration who is going to pay that. And in e-procurement, we are seeing precisely this, how the use of this data is paying precisely the cost, the investment of the resources to put this in place. Okay, so Monsieur Charles Lepot also has, from Fing, has mentioned something very interesting. He said, the publication of the data in itself does not make sense. It has to be used. Well, from my perspective, it's just precisely the opposite. I mean, the knowledge of the business case, the knowledge of how you can apply linked open data to your business case is the method, is the way that will lead to open the data and that will lead the citizen to put the right value to those data. So here you have a method, a way of breaking this loop between the reluctancy of the administration and the cost, and all the excuses for not opening data as the e-procurement data, as the procurement data, and the value that the citizen is going to discover with reusing or through reusing this data. And in the case of procurement, it is a great value. Think, for instance, of your scope in Homer, the Met. Imagine if all the data being right now public, but not truly open, about the tenders that the administrations are publishing. And think about the idea of making a single market, a real single market. So what is the problem right now? That's not possible in public sector or in public procurement because there is a huge fragmentation of the data sources. Think of Spain, for instance. In Spain, we have thousands of what we call the perfil del contratante, the the buyer profile in English. Yeah, thousands of them. It is impossible to find a call for tender because the market is hyper-fragmented. In words of Mr. Barroso, in a very recent speech he gave, and Barroso is someone I truly don't like very much, but in this case I think he was right. He said, when the politicians do not think or do not take into consideration the citizens, and by citizens he means the individual but also the businesses, then the fragmentation occurs. And he's right. What has been happening in Spain, in Europe, is that the administrations have been focused on burden, administrative burden reduction, efficiency, and on their own interest, which was something that had to be done. But let's start thinking about the citizen, about the businesses. Let's do a single market, truly a single market, by avoiding this fragmentation. And through the linked open data, this is possible. And it is possible in a very short term. And it's possible in a very cheap way. And it's not going to be a reality through developing, implementing, and deploying interoperability platforms. No, it's going to be possible through the opening of the data and the correct linking of this data and of the data sources. That is the project we at Everest have named O-Procurement, which stands for Linked Open Procurement Data, shortened O-Procurement. Okay? So basically, that is my message. I thank Pablo because he introduced this same idea when he talked about having this gene in your NDA in English, yes? DNA. Okay, yes, that's the attitude. That's the attitude. And attitude is a very nice word. In fact, if you visit our page, our homepage in Everest, you will see that our motto is attitude makes the difference, which I love as a motto, because that is the key question. If you have this attitude, this linked open data attitude at every project, and not only from the technical point of view, but also from the business case point of view, and from the interoperability point of view, which is not technical, because remember, we have 5 different dimensions when talking about interoperability, then you will discover a very surprising thing, many surprising things. The first one is that your business can be solved from linked open data approaches and can help you to implement your business case. The second thing is that interoperability will be eased and probably will make disappear very strong problems about organization, process orchestrations, and many other things that are costly, that are very, very expensive, and that are really putting a barrier to interoperability right now. Based interoperability on semantics, not on systems, not on organization, as far as you can, because it's not always possible, okay? And then from the technical point of view, this attitude could mean also to imagine how traditional approaches like, okay, I'm going to implement a relational database, can be substituted and can benefit you if you think about this could maybe done by implementing a Sparkle endpoint, for instance. What if, and that is the attitude, what if? At Everest in my company, I'm labeled as an expert in e-government, which is to some extent saying something like that, I am expert in philosophy, which means nothing and everything. So, but yes, in fact, this philosophy attitude is the role, is the cap I think we should wear in every project, and to help the business managers to adopt these attitudes, because that is the way to open the data and to convince the politicians of the benefit by demonstration, by proofs, by having data on the data. So that's another idea that has been mentioned here, and I finished, which is the reusing of the data. Yeah? That is possible only if we are able to break this loop. And I recommend you that please take into consideration those 2 characters from the inside, which are the business manager and the system supplier. They are very important. They are key to convince all the others that this is possible. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. I really agree with your philosophy. Yes, it's a philosophy. But I have just a question. We all know, as you said, that system interoperability is quite expensive, and the semantic interoperability could be a better way, let me simplify. But we know that system interoperability is based on standards, on rules, on formats. Which will be the XML format we will use to exchange from my relational DB. And in the case of semantic interoperability, do you think we have to create a new standard, new ontology?
No.
Or we can, this could be really expensive, much more than I think that create an XML standard. And, or can we reuse something?
It's already has been invented. I mean, we have not to reinvent anything at all. In fact, relating procurement, for instance, public procurement, there are known standards that are being used. And specifically, we at the European Commission are fostering, and I belong to those groups of working groups and workshops, a standard based on the works of CEN BII. BII stands for Business Interoperability Interfaces, and CEN is the European organism that promotes and maintains those standards. And in this case, the standards for procurement are one of many other standards that they are promoting and maintaining. In the case of procurement, precisely, the ontology already exists. I mean, maybe it's not in OWL format, it's not in OWL 1 or OWL 2 format, but the concept of the ontology exists. And the standards in XML also exist, and more important than the binding into XML is the fact that the processes and the concepts not only have been defined, but also the rules that have to be applied and the profiles to use them in every member state and amongst the member states. Who is using this? For instance, PEPOL, I don't know if you have ever heard about it. PEPOL is a large-scale project that it's already accomplished, that interconnects the European e-procurement platforms based on those standards, precisely. Or e-Prior, which is the platform being developed by the European Commission for the European Union purposes, internal purposes. And by the way, they're offering these developments as open source too. It's called Open e-Prior, okay? And depending on what phase of procurement you're using, in procurement we distinguish between pre-awarding and post-awarding. In the case of post-awarding, the northern countries like Denmark and Sweden, Finland, Iceland, they have been using that since the beginning of 2000. In fact, Denmark was one of the promoters of the electronic invoice based on the same standards that we are using now in CEN workshops and CEN BII. And in the case of pre-awarding, curiously enough, the promoter of the standard was Spain, was the central government, the Spanish central government. Maybe some of you know a standard called Códice in Spanish. That was the standard that was used by CEN BII afterwards to develop the pre-awarding phase. But now, the next steps to be done, and that is what we from Everest and other groups are fostering within CEN BII, what we're trying to do is exactly the same work that we have been presented today with the Reload project, which is taking this ontology, taking these bindings expressed in XML right now and based on UBL and UNCEFACT standards, and transforming them into RDF and trying to reuse as much as possible the vocabularies already existing out there, and also the control vocabularies being maintained by ISO, by UNCEFACT, and many others. And, of course, implementing the new ones that are of our business domain that have not been developed. So everything is to be done in the sense that the step from e-procurement to what we call O-procurement has to be done. Nothing has been done yet. Yeah? But we have a lot of previous best practices and good experiences, like Reload, for instance, that could help us in that sense. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.